They said I was jealous of her creativity. I said I wasn't converting my apartment into a content studio for someone with 47 YouTube subscribers. I became the family villain for 2 years. Then reality did what I couldn't. Update 4. The friend who changed everything, final update. I, 26M, never thought I'd be posting here, but after 2 years of family drama that finally resolved itself, I need to get this off my chest. This is going to be long because there's a lot of ground to cover, and honestly, I need to process it all. The beginning. 2 different planets. My sister, 23F now, 21 when this started, and I grew up in the same house but might as well have been raised on different planets. I was the practical one. I started working part-time at 16, first at a grocery store, then tutoring, then interning during college. I studied business, landed a stable corporate job after graduation, and by 25, I'd saved enough to buy a small apartment in the city. Nothing fancy, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, nice natural light, exposed brick wall in the living room. But it was mine. Every dollar of the down payment came from years of working, saving, and saying no to things I wanted. My sister was the creative one. Always performing. Always dreaming. Convinced since childhood that she was destined for something bigger than our ordinary suburban life. And our parents, they fed into it. Every school play, every talent show, every time she announced a new passion, they were there with encouragement and open wallets. She's artistic, my mom would say. She's special. She just needs to find her platform. I didn't resent it. Not really. We were different people with different paths. I found satisfaction in stability. She found it in possibility. That's fine. That's normal for siblings. What wasn't normal was what came next. The influencer dream. 3 years ago, my sister found her platform. Social media. She was going to be an influencer. Lifestyle content, fashion, beauty, aesthetic posts, whatever that meant. She created accounts on every platform imaginable. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, even LinkedIn for some reason. She posted daily, used all the hashtags, studied the algorithm, bought ring lights and tripods and backdrop screens. 3 years later, here's where she stood. Instagram, 3,000 followers TikTok, 800 followers YouTube, 47 subscribers. Not zero, but nowhere near viable. Not growing significantly. The algorithm, as she put it, hadn't blessed her yet. But here's the thing about my sister, and I say this with love, or at least with the complicated affection siblings develop, she genuinely believed she was on the verge of a breakthrough. It takes time to build an audience, she'd say at family dinners, phone in hand, scrolling through her analytics. One viral video can change everything. The algorithm is suppressing me because I don't pay for ads. It's designed to keep small creators down. Every excuse except the obvious one. Maybe the content wasn't compelling. Maybe the market was saturated with thousands of people doing exactly what she was doing. Maybe talent alone, if it existed in this area, wasn't enough. I watched her spiral deeper into this fantasy over the years. She'd spend money she didn't have on content creation expenses. New clothes she'd wear once for a post, a $300 LED panel because her $50 one washed her out, subscription services for editing apps she barely used. She had 3,000 followers and called herself a content creator. I had a stable job and an apartment, and they called me the boring one. But my boring stability meant I had something worth taking. Her creative passion meant she needed someone to fund it. Strange how boring produces assets and creative produces requests. The financial reality. Let me be clear about my sister's financial situation, because it matters for what comes next. She didn't support herself. At 23, she still lived with our parents rent-free. She worked maybe 20 hours a week at a coffee shop, not because she couldn't find more hours, but because more hours would interfere with her content schedule. Most of her coffee shop income went directly to content creation expenses. Our parents covered everything else: her phone bill, her car insurance, her food, her streaming subscriptions. They saw it as investing in her future. I saw it differently. They were funding a hobby and calling it a career. My sister was 23 with no real job experience outside food service, no savings, no trajectory toward independence. But she had a ring light. Several, actually. The setup. It was a Sunday dinner at my parents' house when everything changed. The usual dynamics were in play. My mom fussing over my sister's latest post. So creative, honey. The lighting is beautiful. While my dad asked me pointed questions about my boring corporate job. My sister was showing everyone her phone, scrolling through engagement stats that I knew were mediocre at best. Then the conversation shifted. My mom set down her fork with a careful deliberation that told me something was coming. Something I wasn't going to like. "Honey," she said to me, "we've been thinking about how to help your sister take the next step in her career." My internal radar activated. Nothing good ever followed that sentence. "Her content needs to level up," my mom continued. "The apartment she films in, our house, it doesn't have the right aesthetic. It's too suburban. Too ordinary." I felt it coming before she said it. "But your apartment," she said, eyes brightening. "It's perfect. City location, great lighting, that exposed brick wall. If she could film there, her content would look professional. We want you to let her move in and use it as her studio." The pitch. I set down my water glass carefully. "Move in. Not just visit occasionally to film." My dad jumped in, clearly rehearsed. "She'd need to be there full-time. You can't build a consistent aesthetic if you're going back and forth. She'd live with you, use the second bedroom as her studio, create her content there." I waited. "Obviously rent-free," he added, as if this were a minor detail. "She can't afford rent while building her brand. But when she makes it big, she'll pay you back. And then some." My sister nodded eagerly from across the table. "I'll give you 10% of my sponsorship deals once I'm monetized. You'll be like my first investor." I did the math in my head. She had 3,000 followers. Monetization on most platforms required tens of thousands minimum. Sponsorship deals for micro-influencers, if you could even call someone with her numbers that, paid maybe $50 to $200 per post. 10% of nothing is nothing. She offered me 10% of her sponsorship deals. 10% of nothing is nothing. She was offering me equity in a company that didn't exist to pay for a home I already owned. That's not investment. That's fantasy economics. "Dad," I said slowly, "you said it's like investing in a startup. Startups have business plans, growth metrics, paths to profitability. She has ring lights, declining engagement, and the conviction that the algorithm is personally targeting her. That's not a startup. That's a hobby with expensive equipment." The table went silent. The resistance. I tried diplomacy first. I really did. "I use the second bedroom as my home office," I explained. "I work from there 3 days a week. It has my desk, my monitors, my filing system. It's set up for my job." My dad waved his hand dismissively. "You can work in the living room. Or a coffee shop. Lots of people do that. I like working in my office. That's why I set it up as an office." "But your sister's career," my mom started. "Isn't a career yet," I interrupted, as gently as I could. "It's a hobby with 3,000 followers. I'm not giving up my home office for a hobby." My sister's face went from hopeful to furious in less than a second. "It's not a hobby," she exploded. "I work harder on my content than you work at your stupid desk job. You sit in meetings and send emails. I create. I perform. I connect with an audience. Just because you don't understand the creator economy doesn't mean it's not real." I kept my voice level. "The creator economy is real. Your participation in it isn't generating income. That's the difference between a career and a hobby." The explosion. What followed was the worst family argument we'd ever had. My parents rushed to defend my sister, as they always did. "That's cruel," my mom said, her voice thick with disappointment. "She's trying. Not everyone succeeds immediately." "You've always been jealous of her creativity," my dad added. "You're practical, she's talented. Different paths." "I'm not jealous," I said. "I'm realistic. And I'm not converting my apartment into a content studio for someone with 47 YouTube subscribers." My sister pushed back from the table, tears streaming down her face. "You'll regret this when I'm famous. When I'm famous and you're still sitting in your beige apartment making PowerPoints. You're going to wish you'd been part of it from the beginning." "My apartment isn't beige," I said quietly. "I have exposed brick." She stormed out. The door slammed. My parents looked at me like I'd just kicked a puppy. "Would it kill you to support your sister?" my mom asked. "I support her. I don't subsidize her. There's a difference." She didn't see the difference. Neither did my dad. Update 1. The data nobody wanted to see. A week after the dinner disaster, I tried to have a real conversation with my sister. Just the two of us, at a coffee shop, neutral territory, public space, hopefully lower temperatures. "I've looked at your numbers," I said carefully. "Not to be mean, just to understand. I want to talk about this like adults." She crossed her arms but didn't leave. "Progress. I'd actually analyzed her analytics. She'd shown them to me proudly once, not realizing what they revealed. Her engagement rate was 2.1%, below platform average. Her follower growth had been flat for 8 months. Her comments came mostly from the same 15 people, probably friends and family, offering the same generic encouragement on every post. No viral moments. No breakthrough content. The data didn't support on the verge of success. It supported plateau. Your engagement is flat, I told her. Your growth has stalled. What's your plan to change that? The algorithm is rigged against small creators, she said, the same refrain I'd heard 100 times. Once I have better content quality, like filming in your apartment, the growth will come. Or the content quality isn't the variable, I said gently. 3,000 people have found you. They're not engaging. Maybe it's the content itself that needs to change. Not the backdrop. Her face hardened. You don't understand anything about content creation. You're just a corporate drone who thinks spreadsheets are more important than art. Spreadsheets help me see patterns, I said. And the pattern I see is that you've been doing the same thing for 3 years without results. Maybe it's time to try something different. She stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. Mom and Dad believe in me, she said. Even if you don't, you'll regret this. She left me with the check. Of course she did. Update 2. The silent treatment. For 6 months, my sister didn't speak to me. Not a text, not a call, not even a comment on my rare Facebook posts. At family dinners, she'd look through me like I wasn't there. My parents sent guilt trip messages every few weeks. She's devastated. You really hurt her. Would it kill you to apologize? Families should support each other. I responded the same way each time. I support her. I don't subsidize her. There's a difference. And I have nothing to apologize for. I told her the truth about her metrics. Maybe instead of expecting my apartment, she should look at why 3,000 people found her content and stopped engaging. They didn't see the difference. Mom said I didn't support my sister. I asked what support meant. It meant, give her your apartment. Let her use your office. Fund her dream with your stability. That's not support. That's extraction. Support would be telling her the truth about her metrics. Nobody wanted to do that. Too mean. So they blamed me instead. Meanwhile, I kept an eye on her social media from a distance. Her follower count dropped from 3,000 to 2,800. The algorithm she blamed hadn't become friendlier. The fame hadn't arrived. The backdrop she'd insisted was the problem remained unchanged, and so did her results. The deeper pattern. During those silent months, I had time to reflect on our family dynamic. My entire life, my sister had been the special one. The talented one who needed protection and investment and gentle handling. I was the reliable one, the one who didn't need attention, didn't need support, could take care of himself. So I did. I took care of myself. I worked, saved, studied, planned. And now that I had something worth having, an apartment, stability, a life I'd built brick by boring brick, they wanted to transfer it to the special one. My self-sufficiency wasn't a trait to be admired. It was a resource to be extracted. That realization hurt more than I expected. Update 3. The reality check. A year after our original fight, something shifted. I heard about it secondhand, from my mom, ironically, who called me in a state somewhere between confusion and distress. Your sister had a friend visit, she said. Someone she met at a content creator meetup years ago. The friend is actually successful now. Big following. Real sponsorships. That's nice for the friend, I said carefully. The friend told your sister. My mom paused. Well, she told her some hard truths. It turned out this friend, now at 150,000 followers with actual brand deals, had visited my sister and watched some of her content. Then she'd given feedback that my sister couldn't dismiss as jealousy or ignorance. Your content looks like everyone else's, the friend had said. You're not offering anything unique. And posting from your parents' house isn't the problem. I built my first 50,000 followers in my childhood bedroom. The location doesn't matter. It's the content. And honestly, you seem desperate in your videos. People can tell when you need the validation instead of just having fun with it. My sister was devastated. A year of blaming the algorithm, blaming me, blaming my apartment, blaming everything but herself. And another creator, someone who'd actually made it, had cut through all of it in one honest conversation. Her friend with 150,000 followers said the truth nobody else would. The problem wasn't the backdrop. It was the content. Sister had spent a year blaming my apartment, blaming the algorithm, blaming me. Another creator cut through all of it in one conversation. Sometimes the messenger matters. The shift. Something changed in my sister after that visit. She took a break from posting, something she'd never done in 3 years. The daily content schedule she'd maintained religiously went silent. For 2 weeks, her account showed nothing but the old posts, gathering dust. Then she got a job. Not a coffee shop shift. A real job, entry-level marketing assistant at a small company. 40 hours a week, benefits, a salary that wasn't glamorous but was consistent. She kept creating content, but differently now. Less desperately. More as a genuine hobby than a last-ditch career plan. Her posts became less frequent but, from what I could tell from my distance, more authentic. She wasn't trying to look like every other influencer anymore. She was just being herself. And occasionally posting about it. Her mental health improved. Her finances improved. She was able to buy herself things without asking our parents. She started contributing to household expenses, something that had never occurred to her before. She wasn't famous. But she was stable. When she got a real job, her content actually got better. Less desperate. Less try-hard. More authentic. Turns out financial stability creates better art than financial desperation. The thing she thought she needed, my apartment, was never the missing ingredient. She was. Update 4. The apology. A full year after the original fight, 2 years after she'd first started complaining about my apartment's potential, my sister reached out. It was a text, late at night. Can we get coffee? I want to apologize. I agreed. We met at the same coffee shop where I'd tried to show her the analytics. She looked different, more settled, somehow. Less like she was performing even when no one was watching. I wanted to apologize, she said before I could even order. For the studio thing. For calling you a corporate drone. For expecting you to fund my fantasy. For all of it. I let her talk. You were right about the metrics. I didn't want to hear it because I'd built my whole identity around becoming famous. If I wasn't going to be a successful influencer, then who was I? Just another random person with a job? That felt like failure. And now? I asked. She shrugged, a small smile on her face. Now I'm a random person with a job. And it's actually fine? Better than fine. I like my coworkers. I like having money I earned. I still make content on weekends, but it's fun now instead of desperate. My engagement is actually better because I'm not trying so hard. What changed? She apologized a year later. Said she finally heard the truth from someone who made it. I could have told her the same truth, but she wouldn't have heard it from me. Sometimes family is too close to deliver hard messages. Sometimes you need a stranger to say what your brother can't. My friend, she admitted. The one with the big following. She told me everything you'd been saying, but I could hear it from her. I don't know why. Maybe because she'd actually made it, so I couldn't dismiss her as not understanding the industry. Maybe because she wasn't my brother, so I didn't have years of sibling rivalry clouding things. Probably both, I said. Probably. She paused. I was so convinced that the backdrop was the problem. That if I just had the right aesthetic, the right lighting, the right urban location, everything would click. But she built her audience in a messy bedroom with one cheap ring light. The setting never mattered. I was the problem. The content was the problem. The desperation was the problem. We ordered coffee. The tension that had defined our relationship for 2 years started to dissolve. I'm at 4,200 followers now, she said. I know that's still nothing in influencer terms. But they're actually engaging. Real comments, real conversations. And I got my first small sponsorship. A local boutique wanted me to post about their new collection. Paid me $200. That's great, I said. And I meant it. 10% of $200 is $20, she laughed. So I technically owe you from my original offer. Keep it, I said. Consider it an investment that paid off in a different way. Update 5. Final the resolution. It's been another 6 months since that coffee shop apology. My sister has her own apartment now, a small one-bedroom in the suburbs, shared with a roommate who allegedly doesn't do dishes. She complains about this regularly. But it's hers. She pays for it with her own salary from her marketing job, which she's been promoted at once already. She still posts content. About 5,000 followers now across platforms. Still not famous. But still growing, slowly and organically. She's found a niche, realistic lifestyle content for young women navigating their first adult jobs. Not glamorous, but relatable. The desperation is gone. She seems genuinely happy, both on camera and off. Our parents have adjusted. It took time. They were so invested in the special creative daughter narrative that watching her become a regular person with a regular job felt like a loss to them. But they're proud of her now. Differently proud. Proud of her independence, her growth, her ability to support herself. They've also stopped pressuring me about helping her. There's nothing to help with anymore. She's helping herself. That's what growing up looks like. My apartment is still mine. My office is still my office. I upgraded my monitor recently, a nice curved display that makes work-from-home days more comfortable. The last scene. Last week, my sister came over for coffee. Just a visit. Not to move in, not to film, not to use my space for her content. Just to see her brother. She looked around at my home office, the desk I'd set up myself, the shelves with my books, the new monitor. "This is a nice setup," she said. "Thanks. I work here 3 days a week." She nodded slowly. "I get it now. Why you said no. This is yours. You built it." "You're building yours too," I said. "Different pace, different path." She shrugged. "My apartment is a shoebox with a roommate who doesn't do dishes. But it's mine." She picked up her coffee, held it near the window where the light caught it just right. "For Instagram?" I asked. "For me," she said. "Maybe I'll post it later. Maybe not." We drank our coffee. The ring light she'd once demanded space for wasn't mentioned. It didn't need to be. Final thoughts. My sister wanted my apartment to be her content studio. She had 3,000 followers and believed she was one good backdrop away from fame. My parents wanted me to give it to her because she was the creative one and I was just the practical one with the apartment. I said no. For a year, I was the villain who didn't support his sister's dreams. The corporate drone who crushed creativity. The jealous brother who couldn't handle her talent. Then her dreams met reality. A real creator told her the truth I'd been trying to say. The backdrop wasn't the problem. The content was. The desperation was. The expectation that someone else would provide the platform was. She got a job. Moved out of our parents' house. Started paying her own bills. Her content got better when she stopped needing it to save her. She has 5,000 followers now. Not famous. Not failing. Just a person with a hobby and a job and a life she built herself. That's what I wanted for her all along. Not the failure of her dreams, the right sizing of them. The understanding that creative passion doesn't entitle you to other people's resources. The realization that you can love making content without making it your entire identity. The growth that comes from supporting yourself instead of waiting for someone else to do it. My apartment is still mine. My office is still mine. My sister is still my sister, but now she's also an adult. That took longer than it should have. But it happened. And the apartment I refuse to give away is where she visits me now as an equal, not a dependent. That's worth more than any sponsorship deal she might have never gotten in my second bedroom. TLDR, sister with 3,000 followers wanted to take over my apartment as her influencer studio. Parents supported her. I said no and became the family villain. A year later, a successful creator friend told her what I'd been saying all along. The backdrop wasn't the problem, the content was. She got a real job, moved out, grew up. Now we're good. My apartment is still mine. Her life is finally hers.